Hey guys, Skyman here and welcome to another video. Now it looks like the competition in the cloud gaming space is heating up a little. Nvidia's GeForce Now cloud gaming service has now left beta and has now been released to the public in the USA and in Europe. Corporations are definitely seeing this as the future, and more of them are wanting to cash in, with Nvidia being the latest to do so. Their GeForce Now cloud gaming service was in a very long beta phase of around 7 years, as it first came out in 2013. I suppose they just needed the time to fine tune it and make it work instead of just releasing it in a completely incomplete state. Looking at you, Google. Speaking of Google Stadia, I would like to take this moment to talk about my previous video. In that video, I was very critical and actually quite negative about Google Stadia and didn't speak enough of the good things about that platform. I actually got the chance to use it yesterday as one of my friends have bought it, and to be honest, I actually had an okay experience with it. Yeah, there was some input lag, but nowhere near as bad as what was shown in that Washington Post video that I showed at the beginning of my video yesterday. It's actually comparable to what I have experienced with GeForce Now, so it actually looks like most people have actually had an okay experience with Google Stadia, and that's great. But yeah, just wanted to apologise about that. But anyway, on to GeForce Now. It's clear that GeForce Now is here to compete with Google Stadia. It's left its beta at a very strategic time when people, have been most frustrated with Google's, let's just say, lack of communication, and when more and more people likely aren't renewing their Stadia Pro subscriptions, hence the massive drop-off in Destiny 2 player counts, as I mentioned yesterday. And by all means, if there's any other reason why the Destiny 2 player counts on Google Stadia have been dropping off, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments. I downloaded GeForce Now just so I could have a play around with it. I had a good experience, but there are things that are great, and there are things that are, to be honest, not so great and pretty bad about it. Let's get into it, shall we? I just wanted to start off with the positives, so it was really easy to get started with this thing. All I had to do was download GeForce Now from Nvidia's website, installed the program, then log into my Steam account. From there, I selected Destiny 2 and it actually loaded up very quickly, and I was playing the game within a minute or so. This was also the case with the Android version, and yes, you can use it on any Android phone, not just Pixel phones. Looking at you again, Google. I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 9, so I downloaded the app from Google Play, logged into my Nvidia and Steam accounts, then, proceeded to suck quite badly at this game. I've got to admit, I do like how they added an on-screen controller, so you don't need any other physical hardware to play the games. In theory, even though it's not that easy to use, and it's probably why I suck so hard at the game on my phone, other than I'm not a big Destiny player and I probably suck anyway. However, I can forgive them for that, as Destiny 2 wasn't designed to be on mobile. The same can be said about Stadia versions of these games as well. Another great thing with GeForce Now is that it just has brilliant load times, like brilliantly short load times, I should say. It's just like Google Stadia. I mean, that's the real positive thing about these cloud gaming services. Their load times are great because it's not your device that's loading it. It's their massive servers in their massive server rooms, probably filled with supercomputers. So yeah, it's so easy to get up and running pretty much straight away. You just have to launch the app on your computer and or mobile, press play, and you're going almost immediately. Also, the fact that you can use GeForce RTX in supported titles as well is great. This is something that the competition simply cannot do right now. And GeForce Now actually runs at the resolution they said it would run at. 1080p, 60 frames per second. See, the trouble with Stadia is that while many of their games do run at 4K and 60 frames per second, as they were promised, they've still sort of over-promised and under-delivered in that department.
Stadia likes to party. Up to 4K, 60 FPS.
Because, as we have discovered, and what I spoke about in my video yesterday, is that many of the games on Stadia do not run at this resolution and frame rate. But Google have said that it's up to the game developers to make sure that their games are making full use and are actually utilising Google Stadia's capabilities. And that might be true, but we were still told that the games would run at this frame rate and at this resolution, so I think they were a bit overconfident there. And finally, GeForce Now is bringing some much needed competition to the game streaming space. This should make Google want to catch up to Nvidia and even maybe surpass them, and hopefully then that will push Nvidia to improve their service even further. So speaking of GeForce Now improving, I wanted to talk about where I think they can improve it. Just like with the Google Stadia, there is some noticeable input lag. It's being streamed through my pretty good internet, to be honest, but at the moment this isn't any better than Google Stadia. I'm assuming that this will get better as video game streaming technologies improve, so I can kind of forgive them for this. I have recorded a short video of what I've experienced, even though for the most part it's run okay and you can get used to it and it's not massive input lag, but lower latency would be really appreciated, especially when you're used to instant response, especially if you're a PC gamer like myself. So here's the video of what it's like. As you can see from this video, there is a little bit of input lag, but it isn't anything serious, to be honest. It isn't anything sort of intolerable, so I can just about deal with it, but it is still there. I also feel like that Nvidia could improve the UI a little bit for this service, because similar to GeForce experience, it's actually quite clunky and can be a little bit difficult to navigate at times, and it just seems like there's just something missing from there. I know I might be the only one thinking that, but, you know, at the same time, it just seems, you know, a little bit limited. It's just something that I feel when I'm using it, it's just not quite right. But that might just be me, though. This is more of a subjective criticism. I know that this is a massive nitpick, but it's just one of the thoughts that I had when I was using it. So there was something else that I wanted to talk about, which is actually a much more serious negative point about this than, you know, just the input lag thing. Right now, there is currently absolutely no iOS support, and there was nothing I could find about this, which indicates to me that Nvidia don't actually have any plans to bring iOS support to this. So Nvidia, why are you leaving out iOS? I mean, I know it works on some Apple platforms, mostly the Macs and the computers, but not the mobile devices, you know, iPhones and iPads. Not everyone owns an Android phone. I know I own an Android phone, and I believe it's the better platform, but by not including iOS, Nvidia are really missing out on a lot of potential business and customers. And to be honest, that is just insane to me. Google have done the same thing with Stadia. Is there any reason for this that I can't find? I don't know. I know that Apple can be quite restrictive with their platforms, but it still seems kind of silly to not have iOS, or at least say that you're planning to do it, if you are planning to do it. Like, is there some kind of reason for the lack of iOS support on these cloud streaming services that I just couldn't find in my Google searches and on my look through the internet? If there is, then please leave some comments down below to let me know. Like, overall, I think people are liking GeForce Now so much simply because of how weak its competition is. I mean, GeForce Now allows you to use your own game library as long as it's on their list of compatible games, of course. And that list is over 400 games strong right now. So, you know, I think using your own games is a much better way to do it. And also you don't have to spend the 130 quid or whatever just to have access to their store, just like with Google Stadia. But on the plus side, you know, Google Stadia do offer free games. That's something that GeForce Now does not currently do. You don't get free games included in the Pro subscription. You have to play your own games. So Google Stadia do give you a little bit more in that department. But yeah, I just wanted to end this video by saying, first of all, thanks for watching. And that I'm personally very looking forward to seeing how this cloud gaming space improves and what Google will do to respond to GeForce Now's very well received launch. But right now, I honestly think they both need to work on rolling out support for iOS devices. But anyway, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.